on the show, we talk a lot about technology. We talk a lot about business. And in our virtual green room, wait till you hear this story. Dan Eigo is with us. And what happened to him? Wow. We got the world's largest hedge fund that is being sued by him for discrimination after firing him with this family health crisis he was dealing with, even though he brought in an amazing amount of money to this company. Just absolutely crazy, the story. And I'm going to let him roll with the story. And we're talking about a Connecticut-based SS&C Technologies. That is the world's largest independent hedge fund and private equity administrator. And so, again, Dan's accusing them of wrongful termination. So, Dan, thanks for coming on and telling your story.
Well, thanks for having me, Kate, and I really enjoy the show.
So explain what happened to the listeners to you at SS&C Technologies.
Sure. So I had been with the company for about a year, learning the technology, building up my customer relationships as a sales director, and I was held in good standing and earned a retention bonus and had an excellent working relationship with my colleagues. Until a new manager, Karen Dunn, joined the company in June of 2023. So, Kate, in one of our first conversations, I shared with Karen a little bit about myself, including my disability, my chronic back condition, and my plan to finally go get the surgery I needed before the end of the summer. Unfortunately, shortly thereafter, I got some terrible news that my wife, out of nowhere, was diagnosed with advanced stage liver cancer.
Wow.
And obviously, that was a big scare there. And unfortunately, shortly thereafter, Miss Dunn became unreasonably critical of my work and very dismissive of my efforts to try to sit down with her and talk through work priorities and how to best manage them in this situation that I was going through. But the long story short was I was terminated on December 1st for performance reasons, despite no evidence to support that.
Wow. So take me back to that, take us all back to that day. What did that feel like? It had to feel like a kick in the gut while you're still dealing with horrible things.
Okay, I think I would use the same term. It was a kick in the gut. I did not expect it, and it came out of nowhere. And then when I started to digest the news and the consequences that it meant for myself and my family, it was really, really scary.
Wow. And you haven't had that kind of discrimination, or you haven't seen it, right? Have you seen it at other workplaces where you've worked?
No, in fact, I've been in the technology field for about 35 years, mostly in a business and sales position. And what I found, especially early on, is, the technology companies, were really very much, supportive and respectful and really valued their employees. On the, from a contrary point of view, SS&C's culture seemed to tolerate, even encourage, a lack of compassion and respect between its managers and their subordinates. It was awful.
Wow. So for you now in the space that you're in all this time later, how has this affected you mentally and physically?
At the time, I was overwhelmed with everything going on in my life and the pressure that was being put on by my manager. And then I started to feel isolated because my efforts to try to speak with her and come up with working solutions, she just seemed unwilling to lend a sympathetic ear. Since then, since I've lost my job, I had to discontinue some of my physical therapy, post-surgical with my back due to cost. I've had, some severe anxiety along the way, and I haven't been able to get back to work.
Wow. So that probably, I'm sure, when you had to make that decision to decide whether you were going to sue or not, you must have weighed so many of those factors. So that initially had to be something that was put you in a situation where you probably felt pressured.
I absolutely did. And it was a tough decision. It wasn't, my first inclination wasn't to, make this a public issue. However, it was clearly explained to me by my attorney that this was discrimination, in fact. And on top of that, there was a significant amount of money that the company owed me due to work that was already performed that was supposed to be paid at the year end. Interestingly, SS&C's policy was that if they terminated me voluntarily or otherwise prior to the payday, they felt they did not need to pay me.
Wow.
And I don't want to see that happen to other people.
Yeah, so that was my next question. How do you think this conversation that we're having benefits other people that are hearing this and knowing about your case?
I think there's a couple of things. One, I think SS&C needs to hear the message that how they're treating people really is unacceptable, and certainly in my case, that's it. The other one is, for myself, having been in this field for a long time, I've got a network of folks who have done similar things to me. I want to make sure they understand where the employment opportunities are, where they can be treated fair, and where they need to be really scrutinized job offers, because these companies may not be acting in good faith and may choose to take action to avoid paying them.
Wow. Dan
Yeah.
Igo, thank you so much for coming on. Let us know how your case is going and the best of luck.
Thank you so much, Kate. It was a pleasure spending a few minutes with you.